up, everybody? Back here with Gazette Extra's Prep Spotlight. Thought we'd take the show on the road this week.
Road tripping.
We're down here at beautiful Carl Anderson Field here in Milton, where the Red Hawks will host Madison Edgewood on Friday night, Badger South matchup.
Opener.
We're 2 weeks in. So most of these conferences that haven't started conference play yet will start this week. Some of them will count, some of them won't. Rock Valley, you got one more week till we start putting on the docket. Southern Lakes we start this week. Big Eight's obviously been going, so Badger South gets underway. So it's really starting to get to crunch time, the games that matter when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, it's to the point now where you see a little separation as far as, I guess, the contenders and the pretenders. And week 3, obviously, for a couple of conferences, the Lakes is I guess the one I'm really looking forward to, just because 2 area teams, Delavan and Elkhorn, both unbeaten, and we'll see how they stack up against what I gotta believe is going to be a pretty balanced Southern Lakes Conference. Waterford and Badger play this week. They're the defending champs, but both of them already with a loss.
Yeah, we have only 4 2-0 teams here left in our coverage area, and 2 of them in the Lakes. You got a chance to see Delavan. Is maybe that the most impressive one to you, or maybe the one that stands out to you the most after 2 weeks, after getting a chance to look at them?
I think when you base it upon who they've played, I got to believe, yes, it is, because they've played 2 decent teams, whereas Craig with their 2-0 record playing 2 teams that are 0-2. So I like the fact that, you know, the Comets are coming off 2 wins against 2 teams that have some playoff history. And this week with Wilmot coming up, Jesse Collins takes his show on the road.
I think I've been maybe most impressed with Elkhorn. I mean, this is a day and age where you look at stats and you look at offense and point totals, and they don't have that glamour on the offensive side of the ball, but they do have a defense. They've only given up 7 points in each of their first 2 games, so that's pretty impressive. The defense kind of carried them to the playoffs last year, and doing it again on the defensive side of the ball this year so
and
far.
Certainly a chance for both those teams to go 3-0. Certainly winnable games on Friday night, and I can't remember the last time Delavan and Elkhorn started the season 3-0, so pretty impressive, and let's hope they can keep it going.
Yeah, and the other 2, Craig, we've both seen them once. Just not real sure. They haven't played a real tough competition, and they'll get that at Verona on Friday night. And then Broadhead Judy, the other one, and they needed a last-second play just to get to 2-0 at Evansville, Albany last week. So those are the teams that are 2-0, and we'll see if they can keep it going this week. Big story coming out last week was Ricky Williams in Edgerton not playing week 2 with a boot on his leg, and you know, he was kind of dinged up that first week when I saw him play against New Glarus Monticello, but he played through it in the second half, so I didn't think anything of it, and then also he didn't play last week.
Well, and I know Coach Gregory, you know, he's never going to put the onus on one player or one athlete, but let's face it, when you lose the state's leading rusher, it's going to make a difference. Mike made it sound in the paper like, hey, that isn't the reason we lost, and I'm not saying they would have beaten a very good Lodi team anyway, but let's face it, you put the state's leading rusher in your backfield, it's going to make a difference. I don't care who you're playing.
And a guy who had 400 all-purpose yards in week 1.
Exactly.
Losing 400 yards is a bit of a detriment to any team, I would say.
Exactly, yep.
All right, we're going into week 3. What's on your mind here? Some of the games that are just kind of caught your eye as you look at the schedule.
Well, and I think this will be Craig's first real test. I know Verona's 0-2, but again, don't let that record fool you. Wildcats lost to Middleton last week. They're 2-0. Lost a close game to West in week 1. They're 2-0. So really the Cougars going on a road to play a team that's 0-2, but probably, you know, much better than their record would show, and probably the first chance for the Cougars to really, you know, open up the playbook a little bit. You know, I think against Parker and Beloit, really big first half leads, and you can kind of go a little vanilla in the second half. But this will be a chance for Ben McCormick to really kind of unload a little bit on the opponent. And I look for the Cougars to go to 3-0. You know, I think Verona's vulnerable, especially defensively, and I think the Cougars, with the weapons they have on offense and the fact that their defense has played really well in 2 games, I think I look for Craig to push it to 3-0 and really move with the East coming up the following week within a game of a playoff berth, and that's obviously the most important thing.
That would be pretty impressive after 4 weeks, and this is maybe a chance to see if Craig's going to be kind of the darling of the Big Eight.
Yep.
This week maybe we'll tell that story a little bit more. We'll have somebody here in Milton for the Edgewood game. Kind of an interesting game. Edgewood kind of took it to them last year on the road, and Milton maybe a little chance here to get back at them. And
well, the Crusaders 0-2, but certainly a program under Al Minor that's always solid, always got very good skilled players. And again, this year, I think their numbers are down a little bit, so they don't have the depth that they normally would have, and that tends to wear on you a little bit in the second half. But I think Edgewood can give Melton a game, but I would look for the Red Hawks to get that Badger Conference South opening win and put themselves in a position where moving on, they can get back to the playoffs.
Sure. And then the other one I kind of just looked at was Clinton and East Troy. Two teams where they've had some ups and downs here in the first 2 weeks, and Clinton went on the road, lost to North Boone this week, and we kind of thought they were kind of ramping it up after making back to the playoffs last year, and I'm not so sure quite yet. So they got a chance to prove themselves now that Rock Valley play is kind of getting underway.
And I think the difference there is you got to look at the quarterback play. Nothing against East Troy, but when you lose Mankey, a kid that meant so much to that program and did so much for them offensively, he's gone. They've struggled without him, whereas Clinton can go to Drew Severson and a kid that really makes things go offensively for them. And I got to give the advantage to the Cougars just because of quarterback play.
Yeah, well, East Troy does have Charlie Kuchenruder, one of our favorite names.
Yes, they do. It's a great name.
He got some time last year.
He did.
We'll see what happens there. And those Rock Valley games, again, those are crossovers. The first crossover game doesn't count. The second one, next week, week 4, will count, and then they'll just have the South and North Conference play.
Don't get us started on that, because we don't even know.
6-game conference schedule for the Rock Valley this year. So we'll see how these conference games all play out, and we'll see you next week.